Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a look at, finally, Pan, GT and Gill, or Giru as most people know him. Gill is the literal translation. I remember him being called Gill, but that's because I had the rubbish English dub from, what was it, Blackwater or something Studios. Yeah, dark times for a Dragon Ball fan in the UK. But yeah, I've been waiting so long for this, as is usual with official Figuarts products. They take forever to get to the UK these days. What is this, 2 months behind everyone else? Yeah, that's just how it is, I'm afraid. I really wish I could get them quicker, but yeah, the import fees and the shipping fees are just not feasible these days. So yeah, hope you still enjoy anyway. This figure is very controversial. I'm saying it right off the bat. A figure this small has no business being the price it was on P Bandai, especially with the issues it has. Like, yeah, this should have just been a budget release. Get it out the door, and like left it at that. In fact, all three of the main GT cast should have been budget releases, just so that if people wanted them, they could get them easily. Because yeah, to no one's surprise, Pan has shelf warmed like crazy. Yeah, you can still buy her, like at retail, months after she came out. So yeah. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm still happy to finally have the final part of the GT trio in my collection, even if I'll never touch Pan again. But yeah, I'm glad she comes with Giru, even though like more work could have went into him as well. But yeah, I'm just like getting all the complaints out here at the start. So apologies, folks. But yeah, let's get her off the turntable and take a look at everything she comes with. Okay, folks. So, one thing I will say is they have loaded Pan down with quite a few accessories, so I'll give them props for that. One thing though that I'll say right off the bat that she's probably missing, like more than most, is like a Black Star Dragon Ball. Yeah, I am not sure why none of the GT cast came with the Black Star Dragon Balls, considering the fact that the Namek figures all came with Namekian Dragon Balls, and the Dragon Ball Saga figures all came with Earth Dragon Balls. So yeah, bit strange. It would have at least given her an extra accessory, seeing as how the whole reason Pan's a main character is because she was helping track down the Dragon Balls. But hey, but yeah, the only thing I'm not including as an accessory is the bandana, because that's technically her head. But yeah, you get Giru right here, which, yeah, a bit disappointed in. Literally just his arms move, as far as I can tell. The arms, at the very least, could have been on ball joints instead of swivels. Because, yeah, even moving the arms makes him look a bit weird. So he's essentially just a mini statue. We get two sets of hair, one standard and one sort of action, sort of flowing in the breeze sort of hair. We get her bag. They're calling that an accessory, but it's literally part of her outfit. Like, you do not see her without it. So yeah, they have not got much business calling this an accessory. But yeah, the instructions are weird on this. They tell you to take off both her forearms, like the same way you would putting on the crossed arms. But yeah, the bottom part of this isn't glued in, like either of the straps. I get that they're really thin plastic, but if you're careful, you can pop them on and off really easily. And personally, that's an easier way to put it on her, as opposed to like taking off the arms and stuff. Because even though that is relatively easy. I do worry that there is a chance that could loosen the ball pegs over time. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. We have the obligatory DLC for GT Kid Goku. Just a really happy-go-lucky face, which, I mean, it's not bad. It looks pretty much like it should, but I've never been a fan of these like open mouth happy faces, mostly because you can't see the teeth and they look like they're gumsy. Yeah, at least they've given this head a bit of depth in the mouth though, because as you'll see with Pan's, it literally just looks like she's sticking her tongue out instead of actual like open mouth smile. So yeah. But yeah, that face is specifically from the intro where the three of them are flying towards the camera, sort of thing. So really nice. And we get crossed arms, which are decent. They go on easy enough. I might actually show that off, which I don't normally do with crossed arms, but there you go. She gets 4 faces. A normal sort of smirk face. Doesn't look quite as good as it does on like the packaging and stuff. It kind of looks dead-eyed to me, which is a shame because that's the face I'm going to be using with her. We have the happy face, which, like I just said with the Kid Goku face, yeah, it looks as if she's just sticking her tongue out. And now that I've said that, you can't unsee it, can you? Like, it doesn't look like she's got her mouth open happy. So yeah, it also works as like the intro face. Can also work for when she's talking to Goku after he first turns Super Saiyan 4. We get teeth gritted, sort of angry face, and then we have the full-on shouting face, which again, like, I'm not sure why, but the mouth just isn't convincing to me. Like, we are so used these days to having depth in the mouth. Sorry folks, jump cut, the dog started barking, as usual. Yeah, like I was saying, it's not that convincing to me because there's no depth to the mouth. But yeah, that's just me nitpicking at this point. In terms of hands, we get 4 pairs, one of which has sort of key blasts attached, but for some bizarre reason, like, you can't really use these in other figures, because yeah, they've keyed them for some reason. Like, why? If you don't want us using the key blasts on other figures, just glue it into the hands. At least there'll be a reason for it. But yeah, not sure why. You could probably wedge like the hand pegs into these, but yeah, a bit of a shame. Honestly, in terms of normal hands, we have a pair of fists, a pair of split open key blast hands, and a pair of Kamehameha style grippy hands. Because yeah, she can use the Kamehameha. She doesn't do it very often in the anime, but she can do it. So yeah, that's enough for the accessories. Let's take a look at the figure itself. So, for those of you wondering why I didn't do the box, that's quite frankly because I forgot. Leaving it in, leaving the outtake in, yeah, I moved on to it. I've been doing that many bootleg Gunpla lately that don't have boxes. I completely forgot to review the box for Pan. So, yeah. In terms of the box, it is just your standard Figuarts Dragonball style packaging. This time it's quite compact. They seem to be doing this with all the GT releases, like at least the actual GT trio. So we've got Pan, GT, and Gill on the side. We have a picture of Pan and Giru there. Down the bottom, you will see Bandai Spirits made in Vietnam, which I'm happy to report there aren't any issues for me personally. I have heard some people had one of their arms like fused in place. I don't know if that's because I got a later batch, because the UK gets everything late. But yeah, more pictures on the side. And on the back, we have the picture of the trio right there in all their poses. Someone can't pose Goku for the life of them because his the shoulder part of his gi is tucked into his chest. I hate that about that figure, but yeah. On the side, we have some more images of Pan. So yeah, and obviously the usual legalese that I'm stuck with in the UK that cover half of the figure, including the blurb. So yeah, apart from that though, your standard stuff. Was a P-Bandai release, so had no business being the price it was. But yeah, let's get back to the figure. So yeah, because there's so many fiddly bits with the Pan, I thought I'd do something a bit different here and show how you put on some of her accessories, including the head, because it is a bit weird compared to what you were used to. Yeah, first off, we will start with the sort of backpack. Like I said, in the accessory part, you can either take her arms off, or you can pop one of these straps, and just makes it as easy as popping one through the arm and the other one over like so, and then just like that, because the tolerances are really good, it just pops in like so. Easy as that. Yeah, but as long as you're careful, I would honestly recommend you do that instead. For the backpack anyway, not that you'll be taking it on and off, because like I said, it's part of her outfit. You don't really see it after that. So yeah, to build up her head, you pop the bit into the back, like so. You take a face. We'll take this one, this sort of horrible looking one. This is the sort of fiddly bit. You slot the hairpiece over her head, or over her face, and then you pop that bit in like so. The head is built, and you then take the neck peg, slot it in at an angle, and just like that, her head is now attached to her body. So yeah, like you said, like you've seen, it's a bit fiddly, but it's easy enough once you know how the parts all go together. You can swap the parts about for the windswept. So if you wanted the sort of windswept front bangs, you can put them on and just leave the straight hair on the back, and vice versa. Makes for some dynamic looking poses, which yeah, I do appreciate you can do that. Would have appreciated more if they would have just given us a bandana. Like, I'm not entirely sure why they had to go through all that extra effort for her. But yeah, decent enough. Turn down the white balance a little bit because the box isn't in the way now. So yeah, basically, I don't actually think there's much paint on this figure whatsoever. You've got the slight yellow on her collar and on her sleeves, the inner sleeves. You have paint on the chain on her belt, and on her belt, like the bronze and the blue, and then just the blue on the boots, I believe. And yeah, that's your whack for paint. This is pretty much just a plastic figure. Oh, and the little bits of silver on the bag, can't forget that. But yeah, pretty basic in terms of details, but the details that are there, they got them perfect. Despite my complaints with her price and things like that, she is by far the most accurate Pan we've ever gotten. But yeah, in terms of scale, I think out of the three, Pan is probably the one that's in scale the most with normal Figuarts. Like, people know by now the GT Trunks and to a lesser extent the GT Kid Goku, they are a bit underscaled for like a normal Figuarts display. They kind of need to be left on their own, especially Trunks. Trunks is horrendously scaled. But yeah, I think Pan is really good. For such a small figure, they have made her proportions really, really good. They finally seem to have got the size of the heads correct. I didn't get the superhero Pan because her head was huge compared to the rest of her. But yeah, this will be my Pan in my display now. Even though, like, the character itself, a lot of people take issue with her. Like, it's Pan. She done nothing but complain the entire way she was, like, on camera. But yeah, she's still Gohan's kid, Goku's granddaughter. So yeah, put a little bit of respect on her name, at least. Plus, the outfit's cool. Like, I always liked Pan's GT outfit, the sort of tomboy look, ready for action. She'll kick your backside as soon as look at you. Always thought it was really cool. Plus, she's descended from Goku. Like, that makes her badass in her own right. But yeah, I do really like how the figure looks. In terms of articulation, that's where it gets a bit iffy. The head would look back more, but the backpack does stop it. So she can look up about that far. She can look down really far, but I think that sort of pops the peg out of her neck a little. So it kind of looks broken. Broken neck syndrome. Because it's on a sort of angled peg, you do get a lot of swivel and stuff out of it. And some tilt. All the rest of it. Really quite decent. Arms can go out that far. In fact, they can only really go out that far because that was moving the chest articulation as well, or the abs. She does have a hidden bicep swivel. I say hidden, it's basically just a ball peg. She does have a butterfly joint, which gets really good range for her size. Really good. Swivels all the way around, no issues whatsoever. We have a sort of double hinge system, which gets a bit finicky at the elbow and upper arm. She does have a bicep swivel, but that is tighter than her lower arm swivel. So the ball joint at her elbow tends to get muddled up. She can only get about 90 on that hinge there, which is a bit of a shame. Ball hinge at the wrist. The ab section gets a lot of good range. Really, really good. It does also swivel. The bottom half does move, but it's much tighter. So you have to sort of force that into position. I believe it can also swivel, but I'm not going to try that because it's a lot tighter. The legs, unfortunately, they are just ball pegs. I don't even believe they hinge up and down. No, they don't. So she can only go out that far, which is very, very disappointing. They can kick up decently well. She can kick back a little, but the front of her legs ends up looking a bit weird, to say the least. Thigh rotation. Single joint at the knee, again, only gets about 90. The feet get some really good range. You can go back that much, forward that much. Ankle pivot gets that far. And we have toe articulation, like so. But yeah, another weird thing is her socks. They're sculpted in a really weird way. Like, it's almost as if mine has been assembled back to front at the factory. Even though the feet are on correctly, you can see there, the shoes are the right way around. But yeah, you can see they're sculpted in to like hide the joint on the inside, but on the outside they aren't. So yeah, it looks a bit weird. I don't know why they didn't just sculpt it straight and just leave it be. This figure did not need any way of hindering articulation, honestly. But yeah, overall, guys, like a decent little figure. Let's quickly pop on the crossed arms, shall we? Like I said, just ball pegs. I wish more figures would do this sort of easy way of sorting it. So you just do that. Pull both the arms to the front and then start working the ball joint in. There we go. That one went in easy enough. That side's a bit tighter, so I would probably do that one first in future, but then that's just me. Let's see, I have somehow worked this side around. It doesn't want to move anymore. There we go, that's better. And then just push it all in. And yeah, just like that, crossed arms are on. And I do like how that looks. It kind of makes her look a bit more badass, in my opinion. So yeah, I might even just keep her like that, even though I don't usually like crossed arms. But yeah, let's get the gang in here, like so. Mr. Underscaled Trunks, even though he's older than future Trunks, he's like half his scale. And there is young Goku. So yeah, looks really good. Last thing I will do is we will move Pan and Trunks to the back, and we'll see what this bonus face looks like on this Goku. So pop that out. Usual stuff. Should just fit in like any other Goku face, I would assume. Yep, that's easy enough. Pop that back in. And yeah, it does look good once it's on the face, I will say, or once it's on the head. So yeah, decent enough. I've got the two other hairs that come with this figure. So we shall see what those look like as well. Move this. Oh, why is that doing that? I really, really hate these shoulders. That's how you should look. Bear that in mind, folks. So yeah, move him into the back. And we'll bring in these two. So this is the windswept hair that came with the Goku to begin with. That popped in nicely there. Move that bit in. There we go. And yeah, that looks good as well. I do quite like that. The windswept hair works really well with this face, I have to say. So let's get the third hair in. This is the one that came with Super 17. No one can beat him. That just pops on the same way, nicely, and pop that in. And yeah, that looks good as well. I know this is more for like an action pose, but yeah, that looks quite good. I like that. So yeah, nice to know the faces work on all of the heads really, really nicely. So yeah, overall, guys, I am quite happy with her, even though she had no business being the price she was. She was way too expensive for such a small figure. considering the fact GT Kid Goku was half the price of her and has more going on, frankly. But yeah, end of the day, I'm still happy to finally have the trio in my collection and on display forever. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'll leave a link to Pan if I can find her on like AliExpress or Amazon or that. Not recommending you buy her unless you are like a big Pan fan or a GT fan or anything like that. But yeah, still a nice little figure in her own right. So yeah, guys, leave a like if you enjoyed, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.